In the 1930s, India was a deeply fractured nation under colonial rule. Resources were incredibly scarce, and societal lines were rigidly drawn. Yet, out of this highly restrictive environment emerged a mind that would eventually engineer the nation's most advanced aerospace programs. The origin of that mind traces back to the small island of Rameshwaram. At a time when the broader country was sharply divided by religious and social boundaries, this specific island operated under a completely different set of rules. It was a tight-knit community where secular harmony was the everyday reality. For a young APJ Abdul Kalaam, that harmony was modeled daily by two specific men: his father, General Abdin, a devout Muslim, and his father's closest friend, Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the head priest of the highly revered local Shiva temple. The two would regularly sit together in their traditional clothes and discuss complex spiritual concepts. Watching the highest religious authorities in his town treat each other as absolute intellectual equals left a permanent mark on Kalaam. Long before he ever studied physics or engineering, his mind was being hardwired to view artificial human boundaries as entirely meaningless. That worldview faced a direct test when Kalaam was in the 5th grade. A new teacher arrived at his primary school and immediately noticed a Muslim boy sitting in the front row next to the Hindu priest's son. Bothered by this, the teacher ordered Kalaam to move to the back bench to enforce the strict social hierarchy of the era. When the head priest heard about this incident, he refused to quietly accept the new rule. He summoned the teacher and bluntly demanded that he either apologize for injecting inequality into the children's minds or leave the school entirely. The teacher apologized. Kalaam learned early on that unjust authority could and should be actively challenged. Later, his science teacher, Siva Subramania Iyer, an Orthodox Brahmin, decided to test those social limits again. He invited Kalaam to his home for dinner, deliberately bringing a Muslim student into a highly conservative vegetarian kitchen. The teacher's wife was horrified and completely refused to serve the boy. Rather than getting angry or backing down, Iyer simply sat next to Kalaam and served the meal himself with his own hands. Through these interactions, Kalaam saw the adults he respected dismantle rigid systemic barriers. He learned that these social boundaries were merely human inventions. Once a mind stops seeing these walls as permanent, it begins to look for new possibilities. When Kalaam left his island to attend Schwartz High School, he met another influential mentor, Iyadori Solomon. Solomon taught him a principle that became his operating system. To succeed in life and achieve actual results, you have to understand and master 3 forces: desire, belief, and expectation. Up to this point, Kalaam had belief. His childhood had given him total confidence in his own worth and in his community. What he lacked was a specific target for his ambition. He needed a desire. He found that target by looking up. He spent hours staring out over the sea at Rameshwaram, watching cranes and seagulls glide through the air. He studied the exact mechanics of their flight, intensely curious how physical wings conquered the air. He took that curiosity to St. Joseph's College, immersing himself in physics and literature. But reading about the laws of motion and calculating forces on a chalkboard left him frustrated. Theoretical physics focuses on measuring and understanding the rules of gravity. Kalaam wanted to build the machines that actively defeated it. He moved his focus from the mathematics of observation to the physics of applied flight. That realization forced a hard pivot. He dropped the pursuit of pure science and set a direct course for the rigorous, mathematically demanding field of aeronautical engineering. This brings us to the 3rd force, expectation. Expectation requires execution in the real world. Desire is free, but the elite technical education required to design aircraft is fiercely expensive. Earning a spot at the Madras Institute of Technology, or MIT, came with an admission fee his family simply could not afford. The financial gap was bridged by a massive personal sacrifice. His sister, Zohara, pawned her own gold jewelry to pay his tuition. When that money changed hands, it placed the ultimate weight of expectation directly onto his shoulders. Failure was eliminated as an option. Arriving on the MIT campus, he encountered 2 decommissioned aircraft sitting on display. He sat near them for hours, studying the physical reality of the machines. Any lingering doubts vanished. Inside the classrooms, he faced a brutal intellectual crucible. 3 brilliant professors, Sponder, Pandalai, and Narasimha Rao, mentored him. They poured the hard sciences of aerodynamics, structural design, and mathematical physics into a mind completely prepared to absorb them. The resilience learned on the island, combined with this elite technical training, meant the former newspaper delivery boy now possessed the specific skills required to direct India's most complex defense and space programs. India's aerospace era requires applied mathematics and jet propulsion, but the foundation of those programs was poured on a small island through communal harmony, a sister's financial sacrifice, and a series of dedicated teachers who engineered a single, highly capable mind.